We are live now. So, good evening, everyone. I am Ali Mastan, your host for today, and I welcome you all to the Soul Show, Season 3, Chapter 1. The Soul Show, which is a tech talk for shaping the future of digital identity. So, now today we are discussing on a topic which is really the need of the hour, and I believe it needs to be discussed. And what a great stage than the Soul Show. And the topic is Beyond Passwords. Soul was innovative approach to revolutionizing digital identity, privacy, and security in the modern technology landscape. Now, please join me in welcoming and let me introduce our esteemed guest speaker for this evening. And she is none other than my boss and the founder and CEO of Solvers, Miss Kavita Kanaparthi. And I haven't I will just go on and give her introduction and then I'll pass on the mic to her. So बस अगर कोई गलती हो तो माफ कर देना आप इसमें. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce a leading innovator in the technology sector. Please welcome Miss Kavita Kanaparthi, the founder and CEO of Solvers. Ms. Kanaparthi is spearheading the transformation of digital identity through her pioneering work on the world's first decentralized identity infrastructure, which uniquely incorporates a biometric first approach. As the creator of Soul ID, she guides a team of dedicated individuals to developing secure, inclusive, and versatile decentralized identity solution. A graduate of Washington University in St. Louis, Ms. Kanaparthi is also a respected speaker on various topics, including Web3, blockchain, SSI, decentralized identity, and leaderships. Beyond her significant technological contributions, Ms. Kanaparthi's influence extends to other areas as well, such as she is a fitness enthusiast, certified yoga instructor, a wellness consultant, and an advocate for women empowerment, along with being an advocate for the environmental issues that arises all around the globe. Serving as an inspiration to women of all ages through her passion and commitment, we are privileged to have her with us today to share her expertise and experiences with us. So, was over to you, and hope I have not made any mistakes in giving a good introduction about yourself. Thank you.
Ali, that is a very generous introduction. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, you're always kind and a very, very gracious host, and I appreciate you asking me to be on the season three's first show today. And it is also, I would say, monumental in some ways, momentous to solvers because we are at the, I would say, the culmination of all the efforts that we have put together in the last 3 years, bringing. We will talk about what's happening tomorrow at the end of the show. There is a milestone we are achieving as a team and for the industry. It is something that to be talked about, and we'll do it at the end of the show. Thank you. And Ali is also part of Soul Versus team. So I'm happy to be here today um, talking about whatever he wants us to share with the audience. Ali, so take it away and shoot the first question so I can probably uh, talk from my, experience.
So, thank you for setting up the stage, boss. So, today's episode will explore around the theme of exploring Soul versus ecosystem and the strategic significance that we have from our products and the token that we have. Now, in that aspect, I just wanted to ask the first question that will set the stage for the entire show. So, boss,
Mhm.
I would like you to guide us through Soul versus journey. Like, I just really want to know, and I believe the audience too want to hear this from you. Like, what inspired its creation? Like, how was the and even how was the vision involved, and what tangible benefits can the users expect, like when they are interacting with the broader Web3 ecosystem through our Solvers platform?
That's a good question, Ali, and because most people that we talk to don't quite see it as a peg, in the entire ecosystem. We when we talk about a digital identity or a decentralized identity, it is looked at as a product that is going to drive its own economy or drive its own industry, and is a very not an inclusive product in the entire Web3, industry as a whole. So when you look at an ID in the decentralized sense of things, it is the beginning of for everything that is being built in the Web3, industry. If you're using blockchain, you require something to identify the user in the blockchain. If you are doing a transaction on the blockchain, you require the two people who are transacting to be identified on the blockchain. If you are deploying a contract on the blockchain, let's say a legal contract binding two people together or two enterprises together, you need them to be identified as to who is it that is actually part of these contracts, are they bound by these terms, and everything as such, right? So for that reason, you require an identifier. And W3C organization, the world organization that actually runs or creates these norms and guidelines that the industry follows, identity industry follows, creates these norms and also created the schemas and the protocols for what is called the decentralized identifier, DID, decentralized identifier. It is a protocol that is used by most of the identity companies to build identity infrastructure. When you think about solvers as a peg in the entire industry, what we're saying is that if you want to build a game using in the Web3 environment using blockchain technologies, you can use or you don't have to use blockchain technologies to be in the Web3 environment. You would require a gamer to prove their age. You would require a gamer to have the right currency to play the game, or probably carry their assets forward, whatever they've earned into another game, or, be incentivized and all of that. That is one example I'm just giving you, but we're looking at logistics industry, we're looking at transport industry, we're looking at travel industry, we're looking at financial industry, healthcare industry, education. Everywhere you go, the future forward is what the technology is going to evolve to utilize blockchains. For every one of these use cases, you'll require an identifier of the person, because there's going to be an end user at the end of the day. Even if you're thinking of logistics, there's a end element, let's say a commodity or something like that, that needs to be identified, which will require an identifier. So to put everything on the blockchain, you will require the identifiers. So solvers is basically, I would say, everything else that the industry revolves around, right? So hence the name, the Sol Universe, Solverse, and your ID is Sol ID, and the wallet is called the Sol Wallet, and then you have a Sologram that enables you to share your um, the data using zero knowledge proof, so that you're not identifying yourself and yet you're proving you're you, and not going into the technical aspects of it. But and then there's a Sol Scan, which enables you to create your generate your keys on the fly without having to store your biometrics in the cloud or in the cell phones or in hardware. Those are the technologies that are proprietary to solvers. And so everything that you want to build eventually in using blockchain technologies or anything like will require identifier. So you can either use Solverse's ecosystem or you can use any other ID provider's ecosystem. At the end of the day, you will require an identity for your users, for your goods, for your commodities, for your financial instruments, and all of that. So that is short of the decentralized identity platforms. And hopefully, it is simpler to understand as we go. As people understand blockchain, it probably will get simpler and simpler for people to understand it. It's just like using, let's say today, we didn't think that Gmail, we initially thought that Gmail was just a piece of a protocol, a piece of technology that you would use to send a message to somebody, so you don't have to call them, or you can convey your intentions legally, so to speak, acceptance to somebody. You didn't think that something like an OAuth would arrive in on the scene and enable you to use Gmail to log into pretty much everything. Right now, when I logged into StreamYard, I used my Gmail to authenticate myself, right? So that's how it's going to be. For you to authenticate yourself on blockchain, you would require a decentralized identifier. And everything else built around it will create the infrastructure, which Solvers has done.
Exactly. Exactly. So now, thank you for that comprehensive overview, boss. Like I believe it's clear that Solverse has undergone a significant evolution since its inception. So now I would like to dwell deeper into our approach. Like how does Solverse's approach to digital identity differ from other traditional methods? I would say,
Right.
like what unique problems does it address in the Web3 landscape? Like first, I wanted to know about that part because after this, I also want to know like what is beyond Web3 for Solvers as well.
Okay. The key points that I could highlight today, what differentiates Solvers from other ID providers, is the fact that we are going to be a non referential key generator,
Mhm.
which basically means that when you have to open your wallet, today, when you have a crypto wallet, you have the 12 words that you have to write down. Incidentally, just today, one of our team members just called me and said that they've lost their keywords. They've lost the tokens that the company has issued them
Mhm.
as the bonus that we have issued. And it so what do we do now? The tokens are lost, and you trust the person to say that. So all these things come into play, right? And the trust needs to be built on the blockchain, and that is the key to any of these things. So what we thought was, if we enable storage of your keys on the cloud again, or if you enable the storage of keys in your hardware, or you write them on a piece of paper and you've lost them, which happens to so many people. That's what you hear about. So many bitcoins are lost, so many Ethereum are lost, and we can't recover them, right? And you cannot replace them either because there are limited quantity that are there, right? What do you do when you have to open a wallet? You scan your face, or you input a code, or you input your password, or you use the mnemonic keys that enable you to open your wallet. All of them come with a caveat, which basically is that they're either backed up on your hard drive,
Mhm.
or they backed up on the cloud,
Mhm.
or they are stored in your cell phone, or they're on a piece of paper. Any of these solutions are prone to theft or lossage, right? So what solvers began to think about this problem as the key problem in the industry. And the theft also happens because of that, because somebody tricks you into giving away your keys, your private keys. So to address all of these, what Solvers has done is working on a key piece of technology, proprietary technology, to enable regeneration of keys over and over again every time you need to utilize your wallet, which basically means that none of the keys are stored in your wallet, neither are they written on a piece of paper, nor are on the cloud, nor are they um, going to be in the hands of a thief, because your face needs to be is the one that generates your keys. And with that, you need to address deepfake technologies, imitation, somebody imitating you, and all of that. A video maybe perpetuating to be you, that they can use. How do we address all of those? Is done to the technology as well. Some of the technologies already exist. Some of the technologies Solvers is developing, and which basically means every time that you open your wallet, you scan your face, and your key is generated. How it's done is we leave it to the patent to speak for itself eventually. And that is the key difference in how you're going to be operating your wallet. How is a personhood established? All of that is addressed in this key technology also. So the conventional way or the unconventional ways some of the competitors have followed, and the dependency on a hard drive or a hardware, or the dependency on existing technologies, which have not really solved the problem, so to speak, is something we wanted to address. And we're addressing that through a product, a piece of technology, which we are calling SoulScan. That is the major difference. And also, we have other patents pending that we are brought to the table. And as we go, they will be announced, and the I would say the industry will see it. So you can store both your credentials and your assets in one wallet, which is also key to utility, which is also key to adoption, ease of transactions without friction.
Oh,
So that is the Soul Wallet, and Soul ID is also a key piece of technology which enables you not to have to share your your public key with anybody, no, neither your DID. It wraps everything into uh, one named public key. Public, I would say, um, let's say for lack of words, key, something like ali.soul, kavita.soul. And that way you don't have to share your public key, the string of numbers which can be lost, stolen, manipulated, or any of that. So that is another key piece of technology we're developing also. All these things ensure that the adoption rate is higher, the friction that the user experiences in transactions, in the usage, in the security, in the privacy, and all of that is reduced. um, and the enterprises are able to trust the origins of data, and also the transactions that are conducted on the blockchain. So that is what we bring to the table.
yeah. That's a fascinating explanation highlighting the innovative nature of our solution, boss. And it's evident that Solvers is addressing critical pain points in the digital identity space. And here I would like to even ask, like, whenever we talk about like passwords, whenever we talk about emails, like the first thing that comes into any person's mind is like, okay, if you're going to give an email, if you're going to give a password, or if you even go to any site and enter any personal credentials over there, the first thing that arises in the mind is trust. So like how
Mhm.
is that Solvers is trying to induce that trust factor in users? Like, okay, like if Ali or any XYZ people comes to the platform and they wanted to put any credentials, get the ID, get the wallet, how is that trust factor induced so that anyone who comes to the platforms feels safe and secure? Like if I put any credential there, this will not be lost and this will not be used against me in the future. So what is that trust factor? Because all this Web3, all this blockchain, everything revolves around that one factor known as trust. And that's what at Solvers we are trying to build, which is that one thing known as trust. Because and how exactly we are doing it, I want you to eventually address this
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, there are two sides to it, Ali. Let me refer back to the same thing that we talked about through SoulScan and also Soul ID. Um, when you create your Soul ID, you're utilizing your biometrics to create your Soul ID. And eventually, when you want to receive your credentials, let's say the government issues your credentials or your college issues your credentials, you'll have to prove yourself, and that will still until the entire system is on the blockchain. Just the same way we had to adopt web 1, the merger of web 1 and web 2 initially, when not everything was on the databases, not everything was networked, not everything was server based or anything like that. We had a junction between web 1 and web 2, the merger between web 1 and web 2. So we were proving some things in web 1 and utilizing services in web 2. So that is something that is going to happen in this web 3 phase and transformation to blockchain technologies as well. And that is where Solvers wants to address that key piece of trust. How do we know that the person behind the cell phone who's created the Soul ID is the actual person receiving that, let's say, that certificate or whatever it is that they need to receive from the government or from from education, there the college or whatever it is? How do you establish that uniqueness of the person in the ecosystem? So you will require onboarding them with through a KYC process initially, which is also decentralized in Solvers' system. We are not asking for any personal information that we will hold. We are not going to save anything. So token is issued to the person once they prove their KYC. by their facial scan matching to their government IDs, and that token is what that proves that eventually as you go on and your biometrics are continued to generate the Soul ID, that Soul ID is authenticated. So when when you eventually apply to whatever it is, that you apply for, saying that I'm Ali or I'm Kavita, and we are authenticated using that token, saying yes, this is the person, that biometrics belong to this person, and this person's date of birth is so and so, this person's government issued ID is so and so, so you can actually trust the person,
Exactly.
right? And that is the establishment of trust on for the organizations who want to trust you. And how do you establish your own trust? I know if the organization wants to, is your you use your credentials and use one of our technologies called Sologram, and kind of generate a QR code that you can prove to the audience that you're you, and they can scan, they will believe that this is Ali or this is Kavita, or just the same way, just remember the issue that you had when you booked your tickets as Ali on,
Airport.
and your
Yeah.
the Ali Mastan issues, and you have all things in your name, but and some play you identify yourself as Ali Mastan, and like you are doing right now on the show, and your
Mhm.
ID might say Ali on, and and then there's a problem, but your biometrics don't differentiate between Ali Mastan and Ali on. The name could be the same, could be different, and at the same time, but you can prove yourself, and that is the beauty of decentralized identifiers.
Exactly. And I
You
believe,
establish trust by yourself.
mm, and I believe this is the major thing that will eventually head the mass adoption of the technologies or the future technologies that we are going to talk about. And now, let's now shift our focus to a key component of our ecosystem, which is the Solex token. So, boss,
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, like the Solex token, we know that it plays a crucial role in our ecosystem. Like, could you elaborate on its distinctive features, like with an example of how it integrates with and enhances the Solverse's suite of products, particularly in terms of reinforcing security and
Mhm.
safeguarding the user privacy aspect of things as well?
Sure. As you know, tokens are again multiple. There are multiple varieties of tokens. There are security tokens, utility tokens, and NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, which are more popular because of all the monkeys and all the little teddy bears and all of that, right? All the art, and right now we have the real world assets that are being tokenized. So people misunderstand the how a token plays a role in an ecosystem.
Mm,
When you have security tokens, they have a different use case. When you have utility tokens, they function entirely, differently in an ecosystem. A utility token is pretty much like your fiat currency. Let's say, a rupee or a dollar or a yen or a euro or a pound, all of these that are utilized in a country. So you pay
mm,
for the goods, you get the goods, you pay for services, you get the services, and the money is transferred from you to them, or them to you, depending on who is giving what, right? In the same way, Solversus token, which is the Solex token, and by the way, let me put it out here, it is being launched tomorrow in the Coinstore exchange, and the time will be announced on our social media platforms today, as as the coin store announces it in a couple of hours. Um, so that is the news that we wanted to share with you all. And so the token plays a crucial role in the way you utilize the Solversus ecosystem. So if you want to create a Sol ID, you don't need Sol tokens. You know, Once you create a Sol ID, you can save any of your assets, any cryptocurrencies in your wallet, and but for you to utilize your Sol ID, to pay for something, let's say you are identifying yourself using your student ID in the college that has been issued to you against your Sol ID, you will require to use Sol tokens to pay your college fee in the ecosystem. You may require to pay for it for a movie ticket in the ecosystem. You may require to pay, get a visa in the, if the country accepts the Solversus ecosystem, and accepts Solcoin, and that it enhances the utility of the goods and the services that you're actually acquiring, and also the products. So if I don't have a Soul ID, then I won't be using Soul tokens, right? So if I have a Soul ID, I can use the Soul token. And if I don't, use a Soul token, I cannot pay for certain services that are being accepted, that I accept the Soul token. So it enhances the way you actually use the products and the services that are in the Soul versus ecosystem. So procuring soul tokens, will can happen, across the exchanges. The first exchange that is it is going to go on is CoinStore, and also when you hold soul tokens, you also get a share of the revenue. This is part of the tokenomics. That is the value that Soul token brings to a user. You get a share of Soul versus revenue for having Soul tokens. So while you're using to pay for something, you're literally also getting, some of the money back. It kind of works like points, but it actually is currency. You don't just have points that you don't know what to do with eventually, whether you want to buy this, the same shirt from the same shop or something like that. How you get the points when you buy something in currency, and you don't know what to do with them eventually. But when you use Solverse tokens, you actually get part of the revenue back that Solverse gets from these transactional revenues, and that is how it impacts a user. That is how it enables a user, empowers the user, and gives them makes them part of this entire ecosystem.
Exactly. So now that's a very robust economic foundation of the Solex token, grounded in the tokenomics principles that we have now. There is one particular quick question which I personally wanted to ask you.
Mhm.
How does we at Solverse plan to navigate the delicate balance between decentralization and the regulatory compliance in the digital identity management space? Like uh, Whenever we talk about any topic, when we talk about blockchain, Web3, the most prominent concept which is at the forefront is decentralization. Everyone talks about decentralization, this, that, anything. Like, how does we at Solvers plan to navigate this delicate balance that we have between decentralization and the regulatory compliance management in the digital identity space?
Remember, Ali, we were just talking about how Web 1 and Web 2 had to be merged, at some point because of some of these reasons, right? People did not understand what a server system is. They were like, where the hell is my data? Where the heck is my data? It is stored on a server. What do you mean on a server? There was a lot of misunderstanding how data was being, stored, shared, utilized, and now we know the misuse and abuse of data as well, when it is stored on a server and all of that, and hence we are moving towards decentralized data systems, right? There is always going to be a gray area that we're going to operate in when you're moving from one system to another system. In this case, jumping, kind of literally jumping many steps from Web 2 technologies to Web 3 technologies, and there's a lot of gray area in between. People don't understand how to regulate blockchain within their ecosystem. Let's say a country or across the borders. If there's one regulation in one country, the regulation may differ in the other country. So if you are transacting between this country and that country, how do you manage to meet the laws of when the data especially is, let's say, going from this country to another country via the blockchain systems? Somebody is verifying you from that country and you're in a different country. How do you manage that compliance issues, or the mismatch of the compliance, mismatch of the legislations, mismatch of the GDPR rules, and all of that? Even within the European region, Germany has one kind of GDPR rules, and some of the other European countries have a different kind of GDPR rules, right? So how do you manage these gray areas? And how do you manage the cryptocurrencies gray areas as well? Because some of these transactions will require cryptocurrency exchanges. So what you would need to do is, in the privacy policies and in the terms and conditions that you're out there putting them out there, you need to address all of these. Depending on which countries you operate in, which countries you foresee your transactions happening between, and ensure that you address all of these major points in the terms and conditions, and preempt some of these issues that may arise, and also ensure that you um, create the infrastructure in such a way that you address some of these major points. To give you an example, Ali, um, in some countries say that the server that holds um, the data
Mhm.
needs to be in their own country.
Mhm.
Let's say I'm operating um, an education system or whatever it is, and I'm backing up all my students' data, and I'm
Mhm.
backing up in a cloud.
Mhm.
What they say is that cloud computer, right, the servers, that server, data center needs to be in their own country. They should not be in another country. But most of the data centers have servers in different countries and as a backup, right? If one data center fails, the backup goes up, and you seamlessly see the data. So some of these countries have these rules. So what these data centers do is that they ensure that that particular country's data is backed up, and there's another backup in that same country itself, and that is how they manage. But how do you manage in a blockchain system? Because there are nodes. These are nodes, and you don't know where these nodes are, which country these nodes are sitting in, right? Whose computer? Because you don't, and as in a blockchain, privacy is paramount. You're not going out there and seeing which country is in a person is actually running the node, right? So those questions have to be preempted, and now you have to kind of bring out the policies and the governance and all of that, and be part of the communication, be part of the discussions with the governments to make them understand that the nodes cannot be in a particular country only, and that would basically kind of cut down the entire security nature of the blockchain, because because consensus depends on 51% of the nodes saying
Mhm.
yes or no, right? That is how it is. If you're going to kind of localize the computers, then for someone to actually be able to hack this whole quantum energy thing, you're kind of narrowing it down for them, right? So this is the education. So how we want to address that is through education, through following the rules as much as we can, through addressing those gray areas as much as we can, and ensuring that we are legally compliant, and we are taking part in the discussions for those legal compliances.
Exactly. So your insights was into Solos's approach to balancing decentralization and the compliance are truly enlightening, I would say. And as we progress now in our discussion that we are having, I'd like to have your direct attention towards the future. Like looking ahead, could you outline Solos's long-term strategic roadmap? Like I am particularly, along with the audience, is interested in hearing about the future innovations or
Mhm.
the integrations that our ecosystem and the Solex token might enable. And additionally, how do you envision these developments might shape the future landscape of the digital identity and the privacy movement?
Okay. Well, decentralized identity itself, at the core is about privacy and security, right? And the long let me just put the vision out there of Solverse. Solverse's vision is decentralized identity for 8 plus billion people. And we're not just saying that everybody needs to have a Sol ID. We
Mhm.
just want to drive the industry's vision, so to speak. So kind of bring the vision to the industry. There are about 60 plus companies out there providing decentralized identifiers in some form or fashion, whether they're focusing on certain sector, or they're focusing on a certain area of decentralization and all of that. They're providing the decentralized identifiers, so to speak, the SSI. So we want to ensure that we lead the initiative, so to speak, to enable 8 plus billion people in the world and counting to have access to decentralized identity. And great if we can at least tap into 5% of them to have Soul ID, and that will be, our mission accomplished. But the vision would still stand pending. The vision is 8 plus billion people, which basically means that Solverse is not just looking at building the Solverse's ecosystem, it's looking at building the entire decentralized identity infrastructure ecosystem. By building the products that we have built, we would like to provide other decentralized identity companies the tools that are required for them to be adopted as well eventually. So while we create the market and the solutions to provide to our own customers, we want
Mhm.
to enable other decentralized identity companies to be able to be adopted as well, so the whole world actually has access to. There is room for everyone to be able to service a certain portion, certain segment of the industries, right? So we are
Exactly.
not we don't want to sit on this as a selfish private provider of decentralized identity systems or the infrastructure. We want to be the visionaries. We want to be able to ensure that everybody's privacy, security, self sovereignty is addressed. And that you can only do by creating the infrastructure for it and being the stewards who can steer the ship of the decentralized identity systems. And that is what Solvers will be proud of eventually. And that is what I'm very proud of to say that the team believes in as well.
And that's a truly inspiring vision for the future, boss. And I believe that we were talking about this on the same lines, like creating a global identity collective kind of a society where an idea,
Yes.
like we had an idea, like to build on to bring human side of the technology that we are building. And do you want to
Yes, sir. Uh,
shed some light on that as well?
you touched a nerve there. The human centric is something that I've not used in our discussion today.
Mhm.
Everything we are doing at Solvers is human centric.
Mhm.
Whether we thought about the privacy by
Mhm.
creating SoulScan, we wanted it to be human centric. We didn't want it to be something that is not available to people. So, what
Mhm.
happens is when you create an app that is dependent on your cell phone, and if once you lose your cell phone, you have lost all your data or you've lost access to it. A lot of the times when you have not backed up the data somewhere, you have lost all of it. That is something we wanted to bring to the table. So this is very human centric technology that we are building, and we want this global collective that you're going to be driving soon enough to be part of this whole messaging that we want to say that every identity company out there that is building decentralized identity, this is my message to all of you, directly speaking to all the audience and all the industry leaders out there. Let's make this human centric. Let's make this product or the offering that is something every human can adopt, have access to, and don't have to worry about the data. Whether they're in a war zone, they don't have to, and they lose their cell phone, and they're running away from their homes. They're moving from place to place. The cell phone has been robbed. The data has been, abused on the data servers, or anything like that. Let's ensure that this does not happen to them one more time once they have moved on to blockchain technologies.
Exactly. And was I believe any technology, whether it's going to be Web 3, Web 2, Web 1, each and every technology should have this human centric approach and should have a human touch, because in the end technology is there to help humans, and it should have a layer which is directly uh, addressing the human centric problems and the humans that are involved with these particular technologies that we are having today. And
Mhm.
so now we even have a audience's question on the same line.
Mhm.
So is that as we look to the future, what potential collaborations or partnership is Solverse exploring to expand its reach and capabilities? So okay, so he's directly asking about the partnerships that we're looking at.
Absolutely. Without partnerships, we're not going to go anywhere. Without the support, we're not going to go anywhere. That is something that we strongly believe. As we move, we want to take the whole world with us. That's ambitious. That is extremely ambitious. And without ambition, we're not going to get anywhere either. So let me just put it this way: we are partnering, and we are in the final stages of discussions with a couple of companies to partner with them. And one we have already partnered with, which is India Blockchain Alliance, with the founder and CEO. Excuse me. The founder and CEO is Raj Kapoor. Through them, we're partnering with the multiple countries that they have partnered with to provide blockchain technologies to all of their clients, so to speak, and all of the countries that they provide advisory services for. Which basically means that everywhere they go, we go. Every country they go, we go. And that is how a partnership, needs to work. They bring the governance, and they also bring the leadership of blockchain adoption, and then we bring the services to the table. So, and depending on which industry it is that is adopting within that country, we bring the solution. And we're looking at partnerships with both sectors: public, private, and non-profit. I mean, three sectors: public, private, and non-profit sectors, right? When we say public sectors, we're looking at governments. We're looking at private sectors. We're looking at credential issuers. We some of them don't have wallets, which we can provide. Some of them don't have the DID, which we can provide. And when we're looking at the non-profit sectors, we're looking at how the Earth's resources are used. We're looking at how the environment is being measured. Environmental impact is being measured in different industries. We're looking at how it is being mitigated in different industries. And there's a lot of work that is being done, but a lot of work is centered around only carbon emissions. But there is so much that needs to be done on so many different areas. How is the water being recycled? How is the water being collected? How is the water being utilized? How is the fabric being produced? How is the fabric being utilized? And how is the fabric being either recycled or thrown, right, as garbage? And how is that impacting us at the end of the day? From end to end, how is a certain thing impacting the entire our lifestyle, our health? How everything needs to have a certain data that needs to be logged. And we want to bring blockchain into that area and build trust end to end in the non-profit sector. In the private sector, we want to be able to address the issues that the users have, issues that the companies have, the institutions have, and also mitigate some of the problems, some of the losses. If you look at the data theft today, in 2023 itself, only in the US, the data theft loss was $43 billion just in the US. And imagine when you extrapolate that to every other. By the way, India tops the charts in terms of the number of people robbed of their identity. When you can count the population, because so the numbers are more on an average. Next comes US, and next comes Japan. So if you're looking at all of these things that you want to address in the public sector, this is where you want to address all of these identity issues, the theft issues, the loss, the health issues that are not being measured from end to end. Let's say I have a condition that I've had 10 years ago. Probably that is a reason for what I'm going through today. There is no data that has been logged 10 years ago that my doctors have access to pinpoint and say, hey, listen, maybe we should be investigating this particular thing, and we can probably find exactly what is wrong with you. And most likely I may lose my life. My condition may not be addressed, and my condition may not actually be found what is wrong with me, because the data doesn't exist, right? And they may not even know the problem is arising from certain usage of certain products that I may be using that may be causing the condition. Certain foods that I may be eating that may be causing condition. The origin of the food, sometimes the origin of the food, actually, matters as well, because of the pesticides that may be used there, because of the land's condition that is there, and all of that. So ensuring that all of this is captured into onto the data that you're going to eventually process in multiple sectors, and having access to that is going to be key eventually.
Exactly.
And that is how we want to empower the private, public, and the non-private sectors. and strategically partner with all of them to ensure that the community is empowered, the user is empowered, the governments are empowered, and nobody needs to feel that the power is being taken away from them because of blockchain.
Exactly. And thanks for sharing. Like I would say, like thanks for sharing those insight. Like it's exciting to hear for me as well to about the potential for such wide-ranging collaborations. And so now moving on, during the end of the show, we have a segment two that we call as the rapid fire segment. Now, on that front, I would like to ask the first rapid fire question to you, boss. And it goes as follows. So, like, if Solex token had a mascot, what would it be?
Well, we did name it, Soul Dog, and but the way I see it is, I would like it something to be very universal, and I would like a human to represent it, right? It's like it what we have forgotten is, let me just put it this way: I would like a human caricature that would say something like, "It's fun, it helps you, it's your friend, it's your best friend." So whatever you like to see it as, that's what it'll be, your best friend.
Okay, got it. So now moving on to the next question. So, like, what is the most common misconception? Sorry, misconception about digital identity that Solverse is addressing?
Yes, it is a major one. People think that somehow digital identity is going to make you anonymous. Digital identity is not going to make you anonymous, it's going to make you secure, and it is going to keep your data private. The anonymity comes in the form of, you sharing your data, not revealing your name and all of that, which is basically privacy. It's not anonymity that you're looking for. You don't want to become anonymous, you don't want to disappear in this world, right? You do want to exist in this world. So that is a basic misconception. People think that, by being anonymous, you're going to be able to do more crime, you're going to be able to commit more crime and get away with it. That is not the case. That is a huge misconception people have about digital identity.
Got it. And we at Soul also trying to solve that in the
Yes,
best.
absolutely,
So now
absolutely.
moving on to the next question. So now it is in the format like complete this particular sentence. So this is the sentence. So like in the next 5 years, Solvers will.
We'll actually provide Soul ID to 1 billion people,
Hmm, got it. Got
in
it. So
quotes,
now
and in
so now
hope.
the one that we need to achieve.
Yes.
So you are giving targets on a live show.
Sorry, team.
Okay. So now what's your top piece of advice for someone new to the corporate world?
Take off your blinders.
Okay. Got
Take
it.
off your blinders. And it's a wide world. Don't think narrowly, think
Mhm.
broadly. And your vision needs to be very, very broad, but your
Mhm.
actions need to be very straight line.
Got it. So now this is my favorite question, and I have created is क्योंकि बनाया है मैंने, so I have created it. So I wanted to ask this: if Steve Jobs were working at Solvers today, what would he be managing here?
Steve Jobs will be in charge of giving speeches.
So you are only using Steve Jobs for giving motivational speeches.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Mm,
Okay. There is nothing better than the message that you can give to the world, right? He is a great thinker. He is
mm,
a great innovator, and
mm.
that is behind the scenes, right? But he was able, in single sentences, he was able to share his vision with the world. And he did that by simply showcasing his products. He spoke
Yes.
less, but his messaging and his presentation were just out of this world. And the company is carrying that forward today. And that is something that I'm inspired by all the time. He's great brains. I mean, not saying much about his personality. We're talking about his innovative mind, how we change, how we look at, the simplest of text, right? The simplest of things, simplest of browsers. How easy it is. Instead of using 3 steps, you use 2 steps eventually. He really looked at simplicity, right? And that is what we aim for. So I would look at Steve Jobs to eventually convey that simplicity to the world that Solvers brings. And of
Exactly.
course, he'll be the brains behind the job as well. Pun
So now,
intended.
so yeah, like eventually, if we would have Steve Jobs, we can, so he
Doing
can
the
use
job.
on every stand up in the morning and give us good speeches that will eventually help
Yes,
us power through the day.
exactly. Exactly.
So now, as we are towards the end of our discussion of the chapter one of Soul Show season three, let's turn our attention to the immediate future, which is the upcoming token launch.
Hmm.
So, as we near the token launch, what final insights, boss, you would like to give and share with our audience regarding the potential transformative impact of Solvers and the Solex on the future of digital identity and the privacy in the Web3 era?
Okay. If you hold your privacy dear, I'm talking to talking to each and every one of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as I would say in the beginning of the show, which I forgot to say today, so I'm going to say that now. Because you guys may be joining from different parts of the world, and if you care and hold your privacy dear and security of your data dear, decentralized identity is the way to go. There are many identities out there that are providing a decentralized identity companies out there. So it doesn't have to be just Sol ID, but we are the innovations at Solverse, bring you a little few more features. And the Solex launch is happening tomorrow. We are a few hours literally away, less than 12 hours away from the launch of Solex token on the Coinstore exchange. What that would do is enable us to that is the first step in the launch of the Solvus wallet. The wallet is slated to launch in January 2025. And as it does, the Sol ID will come with it. For everyone out there who wants to take the next step in securing their data, ensuring that they don't have to worry about their identity being read when they share their driver's license, let's say in a pub or with a cop, or their addresses being especially the girls who worry about their safety and security when they go to pubs. Their identity is being read and their address is being read. They worry about that. To secure in general all of it, decentralized identity is the way to go eventually. And for the gamers out there, the diehard gamers out there who are probably listening in or maybe listen to it at some point, if you want to carry your assets that you earn in a particular game, decentralized identity and the wallets are the way to go, because the wallets are going to make it interoperable. And as your games more and more adopt into the Web3 space, and all the hardcore assets that you win in a certain game can be moved over to another game, utilized interoperably, and you can prove yourself to be 18 without giving away your name, your data, and all of that you hold dear. Most of the times you're squirming, saying, okay, oh darn it, I need to scan my driver's license, I need to scan this, I need to scan that, I need to take a picture with my ID to prove myself that I'm 18 and all of that, right? So hardcore gamers out there, decentralized identity is the way to go. Go out there and get one. And if you're a financial, proponent, financial instruments proponent, CBDC is something that is that governments are looking at, and the other alternative is cryptocurrency. Don't quote me on this. So unless your government approves the cryptocurrency, make sure that you follow the rules and your regulations to obtain the cryptocurrency of your liking. And simply to say, make sure you follow the rules, make sure you follow the law, and make sure that your decentralized identity is accepted by any of your local local entities, local organizations. The gaming recommend ask your Web3 game companies to accept a decentralized wallet, so that you can collect your the points that you win or the goodies that you win that you want to carry. You want to create an avatar, You want to walk into a car racing game as a car, as a cool, I don't know, Porsche, whatever your, your thing is, that rocks your boat, um, so that. And what else can we talk about, Ali? We talked about identity, we talked about safety, we talked about privacy, we talked about the usage, and the tokens that are connected to an identity are going to have value, especially because most of them are going to be utility tokens. So they're going to have value because you pretty much are going to be using them as fiat currency within the ecosystems that they're built for. So, which basically means that there's going to be revenue for the ecosystems and that you're going to be rewarded as well. And what takes you probably days to obtain, let's say visas or passports, probably will take you seconds eventually to obtain. So there you go. That is the utility of decentralized identities. And we are counting down the hours and the minutes and the congratulations. I'm going to put out the message to my team who has worked extremely hard for the last, I would say, 3 years and 1 year on the token itself to make it, create it, get it audited. People who have been part of this entire journey, Quill Audits, who has actually audited our smart contracts for the tokens, and the partners who have made this happen, and CoinStore for taking the lead to convince us to bring it to the market. And there are other exchanges will be launching onto eventually. But the team has played a huge role in creating the ICO dashboards. There is a vesting schedule that had to be audited. There is a staking platform that is ready for the buyers to be, stake their tokens, that has been created, audited, and deployed. And all of this work does not come easy. And the roadmap has been extremely, I would say, packed with activity for the entire team. Thank you, team. Thank you, all the strategic partners that we have had so far. And are we forgetting anybody, Ali? Any of the partners that we have to thank so far today?
So the only people that we are forgetting is the community, because we have talked about privacy, security, everything, but we haven't talked about community. And this is the final question, and after that we'll conclude the show, where we are
Sure.
going to talk about our community aspect. So, like, boss, for any Web3 ecosystem, the like so for a Web3 ecosystem thrives on robust community participation. So now, could you
Mhm.
elaborate on how Solverse's initiatives, particularly the Solex token launch, are strategically designed to foster and empower our growing user base and the community that we foster to?
Ali, you can never forget the community. I mean, that is not something that we're ever going to forget. Um,
We
Let me
just
put
kept
it this way.
we just kept them for the
Yes,
last to
we
the
started with
moment.
the community. The community built us literally. When we were in our doldrums, I would so to speak. For any entrepreneur, for any startup, for any founder, the runway is key. And I just so happen to have this with me right now, a jet plane that my son has built. Um, the runway is key, right? And as you are coming closer and closer to those milestones, you're worried about what the runway is like. If the community did not support us, we would not have had this runway extend to as long as we have been able to extend it and get to the point of the launch today. So there's no way we're going to forget the community. The community supported us by believing in us, by buying the tokens, by sending us messages saying that stay strong, we are here with you. We are, asking us questions. When are you guys come up with this? Can you include this kind of feature in the, in this? And when we put out for testing, and our beautiful community manager, Friday, Abhimaje Sunday. A shout out to you, my dear. And he asks the community multiple questions, quizzes them, and engages them and entertains them with information. And he gets a lot of feedback from them. And that feedback has gone into the way we have actually, I would say, edited our platforms and some of the features, and the end product will speak for the way the community has been involved. And we are going to continue to include the community. We are working with the India hackathon in a community coming up, and we are going to have a serious hackathon coming up in January. And we invite everyone to take part and look forward to the announcement of the hackathon on our social media platforms. This is for you guys. This one problem statement that we're putting out there for the community is to solve the privacy issue a little better. And we think that somehow we could do better. Solvers can do better, and solvers can bring a better solution to you. And so we're putting it out as a hackathon problem, as a problem in a hackathon event, and that you guys can bring solutions, solutions to solvers. So there is no way we're going to forget the community. Community is everything, and we're doing everything. And we are part of the community, Ali. You, I, the entire team is part of the community. So when we build this DID, it is for all of us, and there is no way forgetting the community. And a shout out to every single person out there who's been part of our Telegram or Discord or Twitter. Every time you message us, every time you communicate with us, it only encourages us to do better, do more, work harder, and bring a smile, as I'm smiling right now, to all of our faces. Thank you
Thank you
all.
explanation, and I would also like to thank the community. Like the show that we are doing, it also started because of the community thing. Like we wanted to do something for the community, and we never thought like this whole show will go for season 2 and 3 and all. Like we only thought, okay, like we want to do a podcast, and like we
Yeah.
want community to be engaged, and we want to provide them value. And eventually when the community started engaging back, and then we thought of, and we had more ideas, and they gave us more ideas about the speakers they want, about the topics that they want to discuss. And that's how we are in the season 3 now. And things have gone from, eventually we started in January to eventually being in November, the entire 11 months taking the show forward, doing 16 shows, all because of the community and the kind of response that the community has given to us. And I feel very happy and proud to be part of a show that has been made by the community for the community. And in the season 3 as well, post the token launch, we are going to take the show forward, and we have very exciting announcements in terms of the new series that we're coming with the Soul Show. And this time we will have a
And new
more.
strategic partnerships we're gonna showcase them on the Soul Show. Let me take over for a minute, Ali. Um, Let me put this out here, you all. Ali is being very humble. He's been the producer of the entire show, end to end. And today, when I come to the show, I have everything ready for us. Every speaker has everything ready for them. Ali does all the great work. And big shout out to our producer of Soul Show, Ali Aun Mastan, who has conceived the idea, conceptualized the entire show, and produces the show as well. And this is what we're talking about. He may be working, so to speak, with the Solverse team, but he's part of the community. He is a
Exactly.
great part of everyone, each and every one of you, and all of you. And just, I would say, wait for what is in store for Soul Show season 3. The community is going to be part of it, and that is something that Ali has in store for all of you. And with that, I think, Ali, we can take it's up. We take leave, I think.
Yeah. So like, thank you, Kavita Ross, for those profound insights. It's clear that Solverse and Solex are poised to make a significant impact on the digital identity landscape. So now, as we conclude our discussion for Soul Show Season 3, Chapter 1, I want to remind our audience that the Solex token launch is tomorrow, and it's just around the corner. Like, stay tuned for more updates, and thank you all for joining us for this enlightening conversation about the future of digital identity and the privacy in the Web3 era. Follow Solvers for more updates on upcoming events, and stay connected with the latest happenings in the world of technology and innovation. Get the opportunity to be a part of more insightful sessions. Have a great evening ahead, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you.